Howdy, y'all. I'm Mr. B, and you're watching my tip talk on topic 1.6, developments in Europe. Let's recall our guiding question for this whole unit. How did states establish and maintain power in the period 1200 to 1450? Use these little videos to build up nuggets for what I call brain vomit, so that when you're writing your free response question, like the LEQ evidence points or the DBQ evidence beyond document, if you just regurgitate some of these facts like your brain is throwing up on the page, you just might get a point out of it. And visit my website to fill in some of the blanks of information, since I'm going to go through this at 88 miles per hour. So let's go. So in Europe, states established and maintained power through a combination of factors like religion, hierarchical social structure, and that also set up their labor system. The big thing to remember here is it's decentralized. Europe was a decentralized region. There was no king of Europe. We're going to see two ways that they maintain power then: feudalism and manorialism. One is political, the other is economic. Kingdoms relied on land and military service to establish their power, and that is a political system called feudalism. It might help to think of it with the first part of the word feud, which is a fight. It's a violent place. There's states fighting with each other as much as there was a lot of innovation and learning going on. So feudalism was the political system which lords grant land to vassals in exchange for military service or loyalty. And this system helped create a hierarchy of power that allowed the monarchs to maintain control over their territory. Religion was the unifying force for these decentralized states. The Catholic Church was a powerful institution that helped legitimize the rule of the monarchs and the nobles, and the Church's teachings on morality and ethics helped to shape the society by promoting values like charity, humility, obedience. And then the social structure was also an important factor in establishing and maintaining state power. The feudal system was a dominant social structure which allowed the monarchs to maintain control over their subjects with monarch, lords, knights, serfs. Under this, lords are granted land by the monarch, and they give loyalty and military service, and then they give land to vassals who are responsible for giving military service, who then give land to the serfs, or not give land, but allow the serfs to live on the land in exchange for safety. And this is how they maintain state power. So serfdom was the common labor system that allowed the lords to maintain control over their subjects and have the production they needed, because the serfs were tied to the land they worked on, and they were required to provide labor to their lord in exchange for protection. So I mentioned some of the learning. This is one of the things that helped states establish themselves and increase production and education. The new agricultural techniques like crop rotation, new plowing methods, universities being established, literature, astronomy, medicine, this is all going on. Plus monasticism helped the locals by getting education and safe havens in times of trouble. But then we have the manorial system, which is the economic system that's rather than political, and that's how they maintain power. And manorialism was where the lord of the manor controlled the land, a fief, and the labor of the peasants, and that's how he gets his economic production. So you probably remember there was something called the bubonic plague, which had some kind of serious repercussions. But the aftermath of the plague resulted in changes in society and power structure, as the serfs were pushing for more rights, and kings had to find ways to strengthen their power, which we're going to see them do in the next era. We're going to see lots more of this because France established the Estates General. You might remember that. Holy Roman Empire. The Magna Carta is the first step in limiting the power of kings. And then the 100 Years' War showed just how decentralized they were. And they were in a constant state of warfare despite unity in Christianity. And the Crusades was a brief period of unity, but it was at the expense of the war with the Islamic world over the Holy Land. And then that unity was also disrupted by the Great Schism, a split between the Eastern and Western Catholic churches. And then there's also some anti-Semitism, especially during the bubonic plague, which caused some further social catastrophe and disunity. Marco Polo was a bright spot, and in part was responsible for the later European voyages looking for a way to China and the East. There was also the Renaissance, which completely changed the way people thought about humanity and our place in the world. And then it later impacted the scientific revolution. So overall, states maintained power in Europe through a combination of religion, which helped shape society, as well as creating unity and a common goal. And then the social structure under the feudal system allowed monarchs to keep control over their subjects, while the labor system of serfdom allowed the lords to maintain control over their workers. All of this allowed for vibrant intellectual achievements, but also conflict between European states and the Muslim world. So that is how European states developed and maintained power. I hope it's useful. Check out my website for more.